the chat box?
I'll just check it with the technical team head, ma'am. I'll just check it.
Okay, not a problem. हम chat box देख भी नहीं सकते हैं शायद, as I can see, because hands-on sessions require a lot of interaction with the participants. That is,
Yes,
if they have
yes.
any problem in doing anything, then I can solve it out.
Yes.
But,
Vikas sir,
Yes, ma'am.
can ma'am use the message box now?
Uh,
She is unable to use
okay.
it right now.
Ma'am, you are using a desktop version of MS Team or a web version,
I'm
ma'am?
using the desktop version.
Okay, you're using a desktop version.
Yeah, it's already installed onto my system.
Okay. Give me a minute, ma'am. Ma'am, your email ID that you are using in your MS Team is that Pooja ALLD@yahoo.com.
Yes, yes.
Is the same ID, ma'am?
I'll just check it out also once, but I
Please.
think it is the same. So where can I find my profile here? Because it automatically got logged in.
Ma'am, I think the email ID you given to us, and the email ID you are using in your MS Team is, I think, is different, ma'am.
Yeah, actually I have logged in with triple IT NGP CSE, I think.
That's why, ma'am, the chat option is not available to you, ma'am.
Okay.
Please,
What should I do now?
ma'am, you can share your username or the email ID that you are using in your MS Team, ma'am, so that
Okay.
I can add you in
Should
a
I,
team, ma'am.
yeah, can you please write it down that?
Uh,
Ma'am, you
just a
can
minute.
share that with me. I'll pass on to sir otherwise.
So should I send you a WhatsApp?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm doing it right now. Otherwise, it is an easy email ID, triple IT NGP. I have messaged you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. I'll just.
Please share it with me, ma'am.
Yes, yes, sir. I'm just sharing it. Sir, I have shared that with you.
Yes, yes, yes. Give me more, ma'am. Triple IT and ma'am, Pooja, ma'am, I'm adding you in my MS Team, ma'am. Just do one thing. Just leave the meeting and then rejoin it, ma'am, please.
Okay, okay, I do. Thank you. But I don't think I can access the chat box even now.
Even.
Okay, let's do one thing. already 10 minutes are passed. Let's do one thing, Manjula ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You can see the chat box na, and the participants can write there.
I didn't get it, ma'am. Actually, what did you say,
Manjula,
ma'am?
yeah, I was just saying that you can see the chat box. No?
Yeah, yeah.
You can see the chat box. No? So if there is any doubt or questions which are raised by the participants, let me know. I'll be able to solve that.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll continue with that then in that case. And even then, if there is any problem with any of the participants, they can unmute their mic and speak, or they can put it onto the chat box and Manjula ma'am would be able to let me know. Is that
Yes,
fine?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. They were all informed the same only.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So we'll continue then.
Ma'am, you can switch on your put on your video
Yes.
mode on.
Yeah, I just switched it off to just save the bandwidth. That was the only reason.
Okay.
I'll just share the screen and continue with that. Okay, so we were doing here that you just write Colab. When you click on this Colab,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
hope
now
the
it is
screen is
visible.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. It is visible now.
So you just enter your credentials for Gmail, and you would be able to come to the screen, and you just press Welcome to Collab. So this is a screen on which you would be landing after giving your credentials. I hope everybody was able to do it till here. So before we start with Python, let's first discuss that what are the properties of Python which makes it different from the rest of the languages. And when I say rest of the languages, it's basically C, C++, or Java. Most importantly, Python is an object-oriented language, so it is very much different from C, of course. But it is similar to C++ and Java in the sense it is an object-oriented language. So all the properties and the advantages which object-oriented languages share do exist with Python as well. Okay. Secondly, the thing is, it is a command line interpreter. What is the meaning of command line interpreter is that is on the same command line, you can write a command, you can write a syntax, and you would be able to execute that command there and then. Because if you try to write a program in any of the languages in C, C++, or Java, you will have to write at least 5 lines. You will write int I, then you will write int j, or suppose if you are writing in a hello world program. So I'll start with hash include stdio.h. Then I would say void or int main. And then I will give the brackets, and probably then I would be able to write printf or cout, whatever, hello world, like this. So at least these many lines of code is required for executing any program. But in the case of Python, what happens, I just write print world and my work is done. I just have to click on this cell, this play button. This play button is nothing but I am executing this cell. Okay, so at the first instance, it will take some time because Colab is nothing but a cloud which is given by the Google, and it gives you a lot of space and a lot of infrastructure on which you can execute your machine learning programs and execute your Python codes. So for the first time when you are doing it, it will take some time because it has to establish a connection between your system and the cloud. So at the first instance, it will take time. And why I'm stressing on Colab is Jupyter Notebook also can be used, but you need to install that, download that, and then use it on your system, firstly. And secondly, what happens is if you're running any machine learning program, then you require a lot of data set. And this data set ranges in GBs. So, and sometimes what happens if your RAM is only 2 GB or 1 GB of RAM, it will take hours to train your data set. Hours. When I say hours, it can be days also, because with so less of RAM, it will take a lot of time for the data to train. And in Colab, you are given, if you just put your mouse on this, so you will see that RAM is 12.72 GB of RAM is available to you, and 107 GB of hard disk is available to you, which is not generally happening in your own personal computer, in your laptops. So Colab is always a better infrastructure which you can use. It's nothing but a cloud which is giving you IaaS, infrastructure as a service, application as a service, in which you can run your machine learning programs. Okay, so this is an advantage of Colab. Then we were talking about Python. First was object-oriented programming. Second is command line interpreter, and third is the syntax is fairly simple, very simple. You don't have to end that in a semicolon. You don't have to write brackets, and all these things have been reduced, which creates a lot of syntax errors. So the syntax is very simple, and it is an interpreted language just like Java. So debugging becomes easy. In interpreted language means each line is converted into machine level language, and whatever errors you have are given. So it always goes line by line. And if it is a compiler oriented language, then it gives you a list of errors, and you have to debug all those errors, and then only you can proceed further. But in the case of Python, it gives you the error in the first line, you correct it, then you move on to the next line, you can rectify the second line, then you move on to the third line. So debugging becomes quite easy and simple in the case of interpreted languages like Java and Python. Correct. So there are some very important advantages of Python. It is an object-oriented language. It has a command line interpreter. It is an interpreted language, and the syntax is very easy. Okay. Then whatever data structures you have with Python, as you have it in C, C++ or Java, you have stacks, you have queues, and you have so many things. Similar to this, you have list, tuples, dictionaries, and sets. These are the four constructs that you have with Python, and these are all heterogeneous. This is a very big advantage because in arrays, whatever data you can enter into an array has to be homogeneous. But in this case, it can be heterogeneous. You can have integers, floats, characters in the same. I'll be going very fast on this because as I have been told that you have already undergone one session on Python. So I'll go a little fast on this. So first of all, I have told you the advantages of Python. Secondly, this is the output. We'll also consider one example of input. Input is easy in this. We'll simply say ch is equal to input, and then we can give the message which you want to which you want to input. Please enter your name, something like this, and let's make this as name then in that case, and we can go ahead and say print name. If you click on this play button again, it will execute the statement. Please enter your name. So I just entered Pooja, and it's printed. So input and output is done. One thing that you have to keep in mind is whenever you are taking the value from the user, that is input, it is always in the string format. So if you want to take numbers, you have to convert it into proper integers. So if I say num, so I have to typecast it to int and then do it. Please enter a number like this, print num, and there is another command which prints the type of it. So we can say print type of num. What is the type of num? So it will say it is integer. I say 23, it says it is an integer. Correct. So this is input and output. And another advantage of Python is the Python, you don't have to write int I. That's not required. If you just simply say I is equal to 23, 34, and you say print type of I, it will say it is an integer. So it always depends upon the value that you are storing into a variable, that the type of the variable becomes of that type. It becomes integer. Now suppose if I say I change the value and make 34.353, that means I am making it a float. And let's see now what is the type of I. So it will say it is float. So the same variable can be converted to different values. Here it will say it is a string, and I can also have Boolean. That these are the four types of data types which exist with Python and are mostly used. So it says it is Boolean. So same variable has been first made an integer, then to a float, then to a string, and then to a Boolean. So it hardly matters what is the type, what was the first type of the variable. It all depends upon the value that you are storing into the variable, that it will become of that type. I hope you people are doing along with me. Just let me know if you have any doubts or questions as of now. As I said, I'll be moving a little faster because I will really prefer to have NumPy covered today.
If you have any doubts, you can write it out in a chat box, or else you can raise your hands and you can speak it out. No doubts yet,
Okay,
ma'am. You can continue. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So in this way, we can take a value from the user and print it. So input and output is done. And I've also told you about the different data structures, the data types, that is integer, float, string, and Boolean. Next, we would see there are generally three things which makes any programming language. That is a conditional statement, a loop, and functions and input output. So we have seen input output. Next we see a conditional statement. We have a conditional statement as if else, which is there in most of the languages. If else is present in most of the languages like C, C++, and Java. So we have it in Python as well. So let's first say I is equal to 34. If I is greater than 30, and see it very carefully, we give a colon here. Colon means that I'm starting a block of code. So as soon as you press enter, it will give you some indentations. It will give you some indentation saying that, okay, a block of code is going to start. Okay, so inside this block of code, I don't have to give any brackets, nothing. I just can write. So I'll say print the number is greater than 30, like this. I can write another statement simply saying that we are learning Python, and as soon as I give a backspace, now this I have moved out of the code block. Okay, so now this is not a part of the if statement. I can give a else here, of course. I can give a else, of course. Just give me 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, so we were doing here, and in the else block we can write that if the condition is not met, then what is going to happen. It's the same as we do it in other languages. If then else. So this is then, this part is then, and then we want to have something in else. So I'll simply say print the number is not greater than 30, like this. So if we execute the cell, you have to come to a new cell by just pressing on plus code. So if you come to if you execute the cell, so this condition is met because it is greater than 30. I is greater than 30. The condition is true. Since the condition is true, these two statements should be printed. Let's see. Yes, the two statements are printed. If suppose I say I is equal to 3, then this condition is not met. So it will go to the else part and this statement would be printed like this. Got it? A simple if then else statement with Python. Next.
Oh.
Yes.
I hope all participants are also practicing the same on the Colab. So if you're facing any doubts, then you can ask.
I can see one hand is raised. Vandana ma'am, I suppose. Do you have any doubts, Vandana ma'am?
No, ma'am. Actually, the hand was raised even in the first session also.
Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, so next we go on to the loops. I'm again stressing I'll be going a little fast because I have to cover a lot of things. So I'll be moving on a little fast on this case. Then we'll go on to the loops. The most, you can say most important or the most used loop is for loop, and it is the most effective structure also for any of the languages, C, C++ or Java. So it also works in the same way here. For I in range is the command that we use, and in the range we give you the starting point, the end point, and the step. Like suppose if you do it in C, C++, what we do is for I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. This is a command that we used. Or if you want to increase the step, so I'll say I is equal to I plus 2. So the values of I would range from 0 to 4, 6, 8, and 10 will not be included. 10 is always excluded because I'm writing I is less than 10. If suppose I write I less than equal to 10, then 10 will also be included. Then it would be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. This is how we do it in any of the languages. In Python, what we do is we have a simpler loop. We don't go for any brackets or anything. For I in range, and we give the initial value as 1, the final value as 10, and the step, suppose I don't want to give any step, so I'll just skip this. But in this case, what happens is the 10 is not included. 10 is always excluded. So it will take the values from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 will not be there. Let's see. See like this. If I want 10 also to be included, I'll simply say 11, and now it will be included. So let's write a very simple program in which we take the name from the user and print it 10 times. Simple. So what we'll do is name is equal to input. Please enter your name. And we have a loop for I in range 11 because I want to do it. If you are starting it from 1, I have to do it till 10. If suppose I don't give any value, then it will start from 0 by default. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is till 10. Print name. So name would be printed 10 times. First it will ask me my name. I'll say my name is Pooja, and that would be printed 10 times. I can also say like this. So it will come, it will let me know that which is it's the first time, second time, third time, like this. So it will say 0 Pooja, 1 Pooja, 2 Pooja, 3 Pooja, like this. I'm giving you a question. Try doing it. Write a program to take a number from the user and print its factorial. Take a number from the user and print its factorial. I'm giving you 2 minutes of time to try it. 2 minutes of time to try it out. So let's do it. It said that we have to take a number from the user. So first of all, take a number from the user, and as I told you, I have to typecast it. because whatever value we take from the user is always in the string format. Please enter a number. Okay. So now num is the number which I wanted to have, and I want to print its factorial. So let's take a variable as factorial is equal to 1. For I in range, I want to start from 1 till the number, but num is not included. So I have to make it num plus 1. So that num is also included there, like this. And I'll simply say fact is equal to fact into I, and I will print it after the loop. So I will give a backspace and print after the loop the factorial of num is fact, like this. So it's asked me the number, the factorial of it is this. Let's take a smaller number to just identify that whether we are doing it correctly or not. So it says factorial of 5 is 120. This is absolutely correct. Yes. Any doubts, any questions still here? I hope you are able to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, a very important thing that we have in any of the languages is functions. So Python has an advantage, as I told you, we don't have to give the type of the parameter that is getting passed. So this makes our task very, very easy, because in C, if you have already done C, then you must remember that parameter passing in C is a tough task. Pointers, you need to have the pointers, so double pointer, triple pointer, single pointer. If you are passing the pointer to a function, how you retrieve the value of the pointer. There are so many things that we have to take care of in C. But Python is very, very easy in such things. You just don't have to write anything in that case. Suppose the same program, I have to do it in a function. And you already know a function will have the definition of the function and the call for a function. So first of all, let's define the function. The name of the function is factorial. And I'm passing the value as num. Simple num. I don't have to write int or anything in this case. So what I'll do is I'll simply say for I in range 1 to num plus 1, like this. And then I'll say I'll have to have one variable here. Let's take that variable as fact is equal to 1. And then I'll request you all to please mute your mics. Simple. And then after the for loop, I can just go ahead and paste this print command. The factorial of num is fact. Correct? This is inside the definition of the function. This is a definition of the functions. I always start the definition of the function by giving the keyword as def, def. So def factorial num, the same thing, and we execute this. This is what the definition of the function. Now we need to call the function. How do we call the function? By just writing the number like this here. Then again, I can call the function by a different number. Suppose this, and we'll get the answer like this. So we have done the basic of Python, which includes the input output, conditional statements, loops, and functions. Any doubts, any questions? I hope you people are doing it along with me. and you are able to execute the programs. Can you just put it onto the chat box whether you are whether you are able to do it or not? And Manjula ma'am will pass on the information to me.
Yes, ma'am. For any doubts, you can write it over here, or if it's clear also, you can mention that here.
Yeah, just give me one hint that it's being done so that I can move forward.
Yes, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay, have you got a confirmation?
Yes, ma'am. Clear,
Great.
ma'am. They are writing it.
Okay, fine. So these things are clear. Next, what we'll do is, as I told you, Python has a 4 constructs, which are very, very important, and it is used in any of the program, whichever you are writing with Python. As if you're writing any real world application with C, C++, or Java, you will definitely use an array. You will definitely use a string. So all these things can be done with Python as well. So we have something like list, tuple, dictionary, and sets. These are the 4 things that we have. So if you see, if it is a keyword, then it is mentioned in blue color, and if it is not a keyword, it is mentioned in black color. So this is nothing but a typecasting. I can convert a tuple to a list, I can convert a list to a tuple, a set to a tuple, a set to a list. So that is why these are blue colored. I can do the typecasting. Suppose I simply say I am going to declare a list. It has to be done with the help of square brackets. Let me first share a notepad as well. I hope the notepad is being shared and it is visible. So we have list, tuples, dictionary, and set. So first understand what is the difference between all these 4. List is done with the help of square brackets, ordered, and mutable, and duplicates are allowed. In the case of tuples, it is done with the help of round brackets, ordered, immutable, that is what the difference is, and duplicates are allowed. So the only difference between list and tuples is it is mutable and that is immutable. Now what is meaning of immutable? Immutable means once you have declared a tuple, you cannot do any modifications in it. You cannot append anything, you cannot add anything, you cannot insert anything, you cannot delete anything, you cannot update anything. Okay. So once the tuple is created, it is created for all. You cannot make any changes to a tuple. So from this, you can very well identify the applications of tuples in those places in which you don't want any accidental changes to your data. You want the data to be very, very secured in private things, then you can make that data to be a tuple. Clear? So if you don't want any modifications onto your data set, you can convert it into a tuple. This will give you the flexibility of security. Correct? List is something the duplicates are allowed and it is mutable. Duplicates are allowed. And the second, dictionary is something absolutely different because it has key value pairs. So as you have it in dictionary, how do you write in dictionary? You will say, suppose I'm going for English to English dictionary, English to English dictionary. So I'll say mobile. So, or I'll say some other thing. What should I write? I'm not getting any word right now, English to English. If suppose I'm going for Hindi to English, so I'll write puja and worship like this. This is a Hindi to English dictionary. Or if I'm going for an English to English dictionary, so I'll write क्या लिखें? English to English dictionary, any synonym? Begin. Okay, this is English to English dictionary. So in this case, this would be the keyword and this would be the value. Key value pairs. It would be something like this. So this is a keyword and this is a value. Clear? So this is a key value pair and it is ordered. And of course, duplicates are not allowed because you cannot have two entries. You cannot have two entries for the word start. There would be only one entry for start. Maybe you can have more than one meanings for it, but there would be only one entry. So there would be only one key with the same name. And what are sets? And these are done with the help of curly brackets. Sets are also done with the help of curly brackets, but they are not ordered. That is very important. Not ordered, mutable, and duplicates are not allowed. That is most important. The duplicates are not allowed. And it is not ordered. What is the meaning of ordered? Ordered means suppose I have a list which has values as 3, 35, like these are my values. So if I just say L of 0, if I say L of 0, then I would be able to get the value as 35. So there is a fixed order. This is indexing. You can say indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is a proper indexing for each and every element of the list. But we don't have something like this in sets. So you can assume sets to be a simple box in which you have stored a lot of things, and you cannot have more than one thing at one time. And secondly, it will just check that whether the element is present in the box or not. Like suppose I have red, green and blue balls in a box. Okay. And I just wanted to check that whether the red ball is present or not. I can do that. I can add a yellow ball also in the box. So I can do the modifications as we do it in list, but the duplicates are not allowed. I cannot have two yellow balls together. I cannot have two red balls together, but I can have red, green and blue, and I can add a yellow ball to it, or I can check that whether red ball is present or not. So these are some of the things that we can do with sets. I can find out the intersection, union, closure, all these things that we do in normal maths, we can do it with sets. Clear? So list is a normal array in which it is mutable. And the most important thing is all these four are heterogeneous. So if I say it is an array which is heterogeneous, I can store integers, numbers, values, heterogeneous. This is also heterogeneous and sets are also heterogeneous. Clear? So let's start doing it. Let's make a list first of all. I have taken an integer value here. Now let's take a float value. Let's take a string, another string like this. Then I can have a Boolean value here. Let's take a duplicate and see if it is giving me any error. I can go ahead and print L, and I would also like to print the type of L. It will tell me that it is a list. So it says it is a list, and it has not given me any errors because duplicates are allowed, and it is heterogeneous. It contains an integer, it contains a float, it contains a character string, and it also contains a Boolean. Correct? Now let's do some of the commands which are present in list. The most important thing is slicing, and it's there with strings also. Like suppose I have taken a string as this is a string. I want only the name, the last 5 elements of that. So I can simply say st minus 5 to last. So it will start from -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So as soon as I write this, so it will print me Pooja. I can go for st0, it will print M. Then I can also go for st0 to 5. So it will give me the first 5 elements of the string. First 5 elements. I can go it in the middle also. Suppose if I want to get is, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 and 9 are the things that I want. So I'll start from 8 and till 10 because 10 is excluded. So this will print is. Got it? This we can do with the strings. This is known as slicing. Slicing because I am cutting a slice of the string. There was a complete string. This was the complete string, and I have cut a slice of that string, and I want only S. That is why it is known as slicing. The same thing we can do with lists also. Same thing. So let's first of all print L so that we are sure what we want. And in this case, then I can go ahead and print 0 to 3. So suppose if I say 0 to 3, so 0, 1, 2, these three elements would be printed. See, these three elements are printed. Suppose if I want to print the last three elements, so I can simply write L of -3 to the last, So the last three elements are printed. If suppose I say L of only -3, then only the third last element would be printed. Only the third last element would be printed. Then there are many other functions which can be performed on list: append, update, delete, add. Many other functions can be performed on list, which you can do it later on at your own convenient time. I'll just show you one as append. So like this, we can do append. I say Rahul, and then I go ahead and print L. So Rahul would be appended at the last. If you see here, Rahul is at the last. And if I execute it again there would be 2 Rahul would be printed because duplicates are allowed. So it is getting printed, getting appended again and again. If I do it again there would be 3 Rahuls now. 3 Rahuls are there. Got it? Next, coming to tuples. Tuples, as I told you, are done with the help of round brackets. I can have all the values like this, the same as we do it in list. It is also heterogeneous, and duplicates are allowed. Duplicates are allowed. So I print T, I print the type of T. So let's see if it works. So yes, it is a tuple and it has these values and duplicates are allowed. I can go ahead and do the accessing in the same way as we did in lists. So it will print me 3. I can print the last 3 elements like this. It will give me the last 3 elements. And similarly, I can do the slicing also. Suppose I want Pooja and true. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 I want 3 and 4. So I'll simply say 3 to 5. Pooja and true would be printed. But what is the difference between list and tuples? Lists are mutable and tuples are not mutable. So let's try doing some changes to it. We'll make T of 0 to Rahul. See if it works. It gives me an error because tuple object cannot support item assignment. Similarly, if I go for append function here, as we did in list, let's see if it works. So it will give you an error. It cannot do any modifications. So once a tuple is defined, I cannot do any modifications. I cannot append, I cannot delete, I cannot insert, and I cannot make any modifications like this. But in list, we can very well do that. If suppose I say L of 0 is equal to Rohan, and then I say print L, that is valid. See, Rohan has been given there. So what was the first element in the list? My earlier list, 34. So 34 is replaced with Rohan. But in tuples, we cannot do that. I'm giving you 2 minutes of time here to take some breath and let me know if you have any questions. I would really be happy if you want to unmute your mic, you can do that as well.
You all can share your queries here.
I hope you people are doing it along with me, and you are having some doubts.
If you have
No?
any queries, you are welcome. They are asking for these codes, ma'am. Please share your
Yeah,
Google
I'll
codes. Huh.
I'll show you one more thing in this case. Actually, what happens is whatever is you are writing. Oh, so sorry, I didn't have any other. Okay, let me see. So if you see here, if I press new notebook, I should have done it with a new notebook because that would be stored. Suppose I say IILM like this. So this is a file that I have created a new, and this is available in my Gmail account. So I go to Gmail, I go to the drive, I go to the drive, and in the drive I would be able to see this IILM file. This is the copy of Welcome to Collab that we were doing it, because that was my mistake that I didn't go for a new file. So this is the file that we were talking about. And if you go to your Google Drive, you click on Collab Notebooks, and there you would find IILM. IJK, here it is. Okay. So whatever you are doing it on Collab is automatically getting stored onto your Google Collab, in your Google Drive. So this makes your things even more easier. Just you can find it out later point of time. You can access it. You can make the changes. So I have this file as copy of Welcome to Collab. I'll share it with you. But from next time onwards, I am doing it over here. So we have done the list and the tuples. We'll do the dictionaries and sets in a new file. Or what I can do is I can just copy paste the list and tuple part here also. Here it is. Let's have a list and the tuple here. You have everything together like this. Okay, and then we can check for the accessing. -3, 2. Like this. Then I can print. I can go for append as we did it earlier. Like this. And I can print L like this. Similarly, we checked that t.append is not possible. So let's do it that also here. Okay. So list and tuples is done. Let's look at dictionaries. Dictionaries we said is a key value pair, and it is done with the help of curly brackets. So suppose if I say name, this is my key and the value to that is Pooja. Secondly, I want another key to be as organization, and let's take the value as IIIT. Then I want another key and the value to it is like this. And then of course I can go ahead and print D. I can also find out the type of D. like this. Correct? Then there are some of the functions which we do use with dictionaries. This will print all the values. That means the key values, it will print all the values. I can print all the keys also like this. And it will print name, organization, and gender like this. And I can also print the items like this. But dictionaries are mutable. I can add, I can update, I can do all the modifications, I can delete also.
Ma'am, there are two questions that have been typed on the
Yeah, sure.
message
Please
chat.
let me know.
And the first question is how to implement the Python in AI techniques. That
Okay.
is the question. And the second one is they need to have some more examples for dictionaries. Maybe some real
Yeah,
life examples for dictionaries.
that's what we are doing. That's what we are doing. We are taking a real world example here for dictionaries. I think that question would have been earlier.
No, just now we received this.
Okay, maybe we'll do
It's
another example. And regarding AI, that is what we are doing today. That is, we are discussing Python so that you can use this Python language for your machine learning algorithm implementation. There are 3 libraries which are used. Um, these are the libraries of Python which are used for any machine learning algorithms: NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. As I have been told by Manjula ma'am that you have already undergone a session of decision trees. So since you have got a session of decision trees, you must have definitely used these 3 libraries. Definitely you must have used them, because without sklearn you cannot implement any machine learning algorithm, because this is the one which uses the test, train, and split library. Test, train, and split, because what happens in the case of machine learning, that is, whatever data set you have to convert it into 3 parts. Or if you have the testing data separate, then you have to convert it into 2 parts: the training data set and the validation data set. Then you train the model, you validate your model on the basis of the validation data set, and then you test it onto your testing data set. Isn't it? That is what you do. And I hope that has already been covered. So you have the complete data set and you divide it into, and if you don't have a separate data set for testing, what you will do is you will divide the complete data set into 3 parts: training, testing, and validation. Okay, so there is a library in sklearn which is used for this train, test, and split library. So that have already been discussed in your but not of course pandas and sklearn, because these are separate libraries and it takes a lot of time for it. In one session I could only be able to cover Python and NumPy. So that's what we are doing Python only to execute your AI and ML programs on Python. Another example for dictionary can be, as I told you, these are key value pairs. You give a key and the value for that key. Like suppose you have for students. Okay, so you can have a dictionary for students, the names of the students. You want to store the database of the students. So what you can do is the first key would be name. So I'll say the first student is Rahul. Then I will go for its roll number. Roll number. Roll number is this, suppose. Then I'll go for its CGPA and take the value as 7, like this. And then I can also go for its address. So I'll say number, like this. And then I can print my D1 like this. So in this case, I have my data set for one student. Similarly, I can go ahead and have the data set for another student in the similar manner. So dictionary has a key value pairs like this. I'll give you another example for this. You know Tambola? housing. So in the case of Tombola, you say that I want to have a different type of a housing which is being generally played nowadays, in which number 1 is comes and it corresponds to something else. Do you remember enum? Enum in C, C++? That is what this dictionary is. I am giving a different value to it. So that is also key value pairs. So 1 means suppose I'm playing Tombola for cities. So 1 stands for Nagpur, 2 stands for Allahabad, 3 stands for Kanpur, 4 stands for Lucknow, 5 stands for Noida, and so on. So in this case, again, I can have a dictionary like this, and simply I'll say 1 is Noida, like this. Then 2 is, then 3 is Kanpur, like this. So I hope I have given you enough examples for the dictionaries, 1 Noida, 2 Allahabad, and 3 Kanpur. And in this case, if I suppose want to have only the values, what are the different cities which are covered in it? So it will give me all the cities which are covered in it. Okay. So again, as I'm saying, dictionary is mutable, and you can make some modifications into it. Suppose if I want to have 1 should not be Noida, but it should be something else, that can also be done by different commands of dictionaries. And last but not the least is sets. So sets, as I mentioned, is done with the help of curly brackets itself, and it contains just the values. I'll say I want to have it for all the things which are there on my table. I'll go for bag, file, mouse, paper, and so on, like this. So I'll say print S, and I also print the type of S. So it will say it is a set, like this. So now I can check that whether an element is present in the set or not. Suppose, and it doesn't have duplicates. So if I suppose I say as dot add, see if I do s dot append, it will give me an error. Let's see, I have a printer also on my table. So, and I say execute this, it will give me an error. Why? Because it is not ordered. Remember, sets are not ordered. Since it is not ordered, so there is nothing like append. I cannot put it at the last. I can do a add here. This will work because I can add something to it, but I cannot append. I have added a printer here. If I execute it again here, then also it will have printer only once. What happened in the case of list? It was adding Rahul again and again and again because duplicates were allowed. So it added Rahul thrice. But in this case, it will add printer only once because the duplicates are not allowed. Correct? Like suppose I have a question now to how to remove the duplicates from a list. I had this list which had 34 as a lot of duplicates. So I can very well remove the duplicates from a list by taking, I can very well convert it to a set and then again to a list. So what I can do is I'll say S1 is equal to, first let me print L. So it has 34 so many number of times. I want to remove the duplicates. So I can very well say S1 is equal to set L. So this will convert my list to a set. And if you now print S1 and you print the type of S1, it will say it is a set. It will say it is a set. So you see 34 has been removed because set doesn't have duplicates. And now I can again convert to it like this. Now I have again converted into a list with duplicates removed. See, now I have a new list with all the duplicates removed. 34 is not thrice, Rahul is not thrice like this. So I have removed all the duplicates and now I have a new list. So that is what I was trying to tell you. I can do the typecasting. I can convert a list to a set. I can convert a set to a list. I can convert a list to a tuple. Like suppose I have created a tuple and I want to do some modifications. So I can convert it to a list, do the modifications, and then again convert it back to a tuple. Let's try it out that also. Like suppose let's print the T. This is my tuple and it has so many duplicates. I want to add some element to it as Rahul. I want to add Rahul to it. If I do it here, if I say t.append, it will give me an error that you already know because I cannot make any modifications to a tuple. But what I can do is again here, I can make it as a list. I can make this as a list. Let's see. What is the type of L3? It says it is a list. Now I can of course modify it. I have added Rahul to it. I have added Rahul to it. And now I can make another tuple by again typecasting it. Print T2 and I print type of T2. This would be a tuple with Rahul at the end. See, Rahul at the end. So I can modify the tuple only if I convert it to a list and then again come back to the list. Okay. Any doubts, any questions?
You can write your questions here, or you can directly ask if you have any doubts.
No?
You can proceed, ma'am. I hope no doubts.
Okay. So one thing that I told you that I would like to discuss is NumPy library. As I mentioned, it's not possible to cover all the 3 libraries, but yes, we can go ahead and discuss one of the libraries, which is NumPy. So we can import that library and give an alias for it like this. Import NumPy as NP. So it will import the NumPy library into your own program, and then you can use the commands of NumPy by just writing NP. So I have given it as an alias. So every time I don't have to write numpy dot, I can simply write np dot. I can create an array, a numpy array. P is equal to np dot as array, and let me have the functions directly, so it will save time. Like this. So I import numpy as np. I can convert a normal list to a numpy array by just writing np.array 1 2 3. So it will convert it to a numpy array like this, and then I can go ahead and find out the type of X, which says it is a n-dimensional array. Similarly, if already I have a list like this, I can convert it to a numpy array like this, as array. As I was mentioning, as array is a function which you can very well use for a numpy array. I can convert all the values to float directly by this. So why we are using NumPy is because it has a lot of functionalities which doesn't exist normally. I have created an array and I have converted all the values to float. Then there is something called as shape. I can find out the shape of the array. I can also have a double dimensional array like this and print it. Okay. So if I have something like a double dimensional array like this and print its shape, so it will say that it was a 2 cross 3 matrix, 2 rows and 3 columns. And here I can do the slicing, the indexing. Suppose I want to print 14. Since it is a double dimensional array, so I'll have to first give the value of the row. The row is 0 and column. X0 of 0 is 14. If suppose I want to have 3, so I'll say x of 2, 0, 1, 2. It will print you 3. If suppose I want to have 62, so I'll say 1 of 2. It will print me 62. Like this. Now can anybody tell me how to print 3 and 62? 3 and 62? Can anybody tell me how to print 3 and 62 together? Can anybody tell me how to print 3 and 62? I say all the rows. So I just give a colon there for all the rows and the third column, that is 2. This will print me all the rows and the third column, 3 and 62. If suppose I want to have 22 and 3, can that anybody tell me? 22 and 3. No one?
No.
I can simply say the first row is 0, first row and second and the third column. So it will start from 1 till I don't have to mention it because I want all the values. So this 0th row, first column, this will print you 22 and 3. First row, the columns are starting from 1, 0, 1 till the last. So that is why it printed 23. If suppose I want to have 22, 3 and 52, 62. Complicated? I want 22, 3, 52, 62. Means all the rows, both the rows and the columns are starting from 1 to all. So sorry, I just have to have a column, comma here. See, got it? All the rows, that is why I mentioned only colon, because it mentions all the rows and I give an indexing for slicing for the columns. So starting from 1 till, or I could have given it 3 also here. 1 and 2 would be printed. That will also be the same thing. Here also I could have done it like this 0 to 2. That will be also the same thing. Because it has 0 and 1 row. It has 0, 1, 2, 3 columns. So I have taken only 1 and 2 columns. Got it?
Yes, they are replying it, ma'am.
Okay. Then this is a very important thing that we do it with NumPy array. Suppose I have taken an Excel sheet. Okay, I have the data. I have the data like this. I have this data. This is some anything. This is some data. Now I want to find out the summation column wise like this. I want a summation of this. So what I'll do is I'll just simply say auto sum. Then again I'll say auto sum like this. This is column wise. And if I want to have it row wise, so I'll do it like this. And I can drag it like here. So this has given me row wise and this has given me column wise. Or if I want to have the summation of all the elements of this. So what I can do is I can add this to this. This is a summation of column wise. So either I can add this, this will give me the answer. This is the summation of all the values. Isn't it? This is a summation of all the values. Or I could have added all these, then also I will get the same answer. Or I could have done that column wise or row wise. This is generally we do. If you have already done with machine learning parts, so what are the 6 steps which are involved in the case of machine learning? The 6 steps which are involved is finding out the objective. What is your objective? What are you supposed to do? And then preparation of the data. Yeah, or you can say gathering the data. First you will collect the data and then you prepare the data. That is the most important part. Exploration, build the model, training, or you can say it as a validation of the model, and then finally is prediction. That is what you do. These are the steps which are involved in any machine learning problem solving. First of all, you need to decide what are you supposed to do, then gather the data from where you are supposed to take the data and prepare the data. Now this is very important, in which NumPy and pandas are used. NumPy is used to do such types of modifications. I want to find out the sum, and pandas is used to prepare the data in the format which you need. Suppose I don't want this column. So I can do that in the case of pandas. I want to access only this column, and this column. That also can be done. So all these things, the preparation of the data is used in pandas. And suppose there was one alphabetic column also like this. So I cannot do any analysis on alphabetic data. I have to do the encoding of this data. What is the meaning of encoding? I'll convert it to numbers like this. So this encoding is required. This is also done with the help of pandas. So pandas is a library which prepares the data so that you can do the analysis and perform the machine learning algorithm onto that data. Clear? And NumPy gives you such types of operations. So of course I can go ahead and find out the summation of when axis is equal to 0. Axis is equal to 0 means it is doing it column wise, and if its axis is equal to 1, it is doing it row wise. So since it had 2 rows, so it has 2 values. Since it had 3 columns, so it has 3 columns, 3 values. And x dot sum will give you the summation of the entire matrix, entire NumPy array. Then there are many other functions which we can perform. I can have an array of all zeros like this. I can have an array of an identity matrix 5 by 5. So all the diagonals would be 1. I can create a random matrix. Now this is very much important. And in this case, by default, the values are from 0 to 1. And I have created a 5 cross 5 matrix with value 0 to 1. I can very well change it and have it in another format also like this. So it will create a 4 cross 4 matrix, or I can go for 4 cross 5 matrix. That is also possible. Any type of a matrix can be created with some random values from 0 to 1. I can do some modifications in this command in which I can give you the range that I want the values from 10 to 20, or I want the values from 30 to 40 and so on. That can be done. That's your food for thought. Think over and find out the command for it. Then I can very well find out the transpose of a matrix. I can reshape a matrix. Now this is important because as you say, I got an error here. Because the reshaping, no, I have this data suppose, and this is a 4 cross 4 matrix. So how many number of elements are here? 16. If suppose I'm considering this as my data, I'll remove all this and I'm considering this as my data. It has 5 cross 4 matrix. So how many elements are there? 20. I can convert it to a 4 cross 5 matrix, but I cannot convert it to a 5 cross 5 matrix because 5 cross 5 will have 25 elements. From where will I bring 5 more elements to it? That's not possible. So that is why it says the reshape is valid only if the number of elements remains the same. So here I had taken 4 cross 5. I can very well go ahead and do 5 cross 4. That is possible. And then I can print y. That is possible, but I cannot do any modification. So if you see, these have been converted to 4 cross 5. This was a transpose of the matrix, and this was my x 0.63, 0.81. Now 0.63, 0.81. This has been converted to a 4 cross 5 5 cross 4 from 4 cross 5. The number of elements should remain the same. I can very well have a matrix with all the natural numbers from 0 to 4 because 5 is excluded. And I can perform the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so on. But for multiplication, the rule remains the same. The column of the first should be equal to the rows of the second. If that is not followed, then it will give you an error. It will not be able to multiply the two matrices. I can do the additions. And I can find out the inner and the outer products also like this. Inner product and outer product. I can find out a dot product of the transpose of the matrix or dot product of a normal matrix, and so on. So there are so many things. I'll be sharing this code with you, so don't worry for that. I'll be sharing the NumPy code with you so that you can try it out at your end as well. My main aim was that is you are able to do the NumPy tutorial. I wanted to cover pandas also, but again, that is not possible to do it in another 10 minutes. And most importantly, a file needs to be shared with you because that is a data set. And I wanted to show you how the data set will change. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll give you what all can be done with it. If suppose I have my COVID data set. This is my COVID data set, a normal COVID data set. So first of all, as I told you, what are the steps which are involved in solving any machine learning problem is to first find out the objective. So my objective is to find out to predict the number of cases on 20th of January. This is my objective. Okay, this is my objective to predict the number of cases on 20th of January. Gathering the data, I went to the site and find out the confirmed cases, deaths, and recoveries. But I wanted it for my country, India. So first of all, I gathered the data and now I have to prepare the data. This is which is done with Python and pandas. This is my data set. I'll first convert it to a pandas data frame. That is, this would be a data frame. Pandas data frame. Let me show you that code in that case. So suppose this is a file which is mobile_clean.csv. There is another file. This is my file. It has so many columns, and on the basis of these values, that is what is the type of the camera, what is the screen pixel, what is the phone expandable version, etc., etc. I am predicting that whether it is being liked by the people or not. If it is liked by the people, it will say 1. If not, it will say 0. Like this. So it is basically a supervised algorithm and a binary classifier. It's a classification problem. Okay, and a binary classifier because I have only two classes, 0 and 1. So for a binary classifier, I could have used decision trees, I could have used SVM, I could have used logistic regression, anything. It's a classification problem with two classes as 0 and 1. If it is liked by the people, it says 1. If it is not liked by the people, it says 0. So I'll train my model in 80% of the rows and 20% of the rows will go for validation. And then I will predict for a new data set that whether it is liked by the people or not. So first of all, I'll say import. And for this, I'll have to upload the file here. And this is the way how we do it. You click on this rectangular button and give the location of the file. mobile_clean.csv. So now I can see the file here. Once the file is visible, I can create a data frame for it. And there are many functions which you can perform with the pandas data frame. I can print the head, I can print the type of this data frame. It says it is a pandas core data frame. And I will skip all that. And this says I want only the rows from 10 to 30. Now this is my data frame. I want only some of the rows. So these are the rows which are to be considered. I can convert and have only these many columns. That is what I was trying to explain you in the COVID file. The objective was to predict the number of corona cases on 20th of January in India. Okay, so in that case, what I'll have to do is preparation of the data will say I have to first sort this on the basis of the country. Okay, and then I will check only for India. I'll check it IJKEFGHI. Here it is, Indonesia, India. So these are the rows which needs to be considered. These are the rows. I don't want the rest of the rows. I'll filter the data on this. Then if you see, date is a alphanumeric data. So I have to convert it into numbers. These two columns are the latitude and the longitude. These two columns are redundant. So I can remove this. I don't need it because for India, the latitude and the longitude will always remain the same. Then for the initial few days, 22nd of January, 23rd of January, and so on, for initial few days, the number of corona cases were very less. So I can remove all those rows and I can start my analysis from basically these rows in which the values changed. Before then that the values were almost constant. So these are the things that we need to do. Remove some of the rows, add some of the rows, remove some of the columns. These two columns are not required. This needs to be converted to numeric data. These rows should not be there. So this all is done with the help of pandas. So this is removing some of the rows. This is taking only some of the columns. I just want these 5 columns for my analysis. So I can do that. Then I want to have only those rows for which isLiked is equal to 1. That can all be done like this. I can find out the mean of those mobiles, the mean of the price of those mobiles which is liked by the people. This is what it is doing. Is equal to 1 means those mobiles which are liked by the people, and price ka mean. I am finding out the mean of the price of those mobiles which is liked by the people. Then there is a group by function which I can group by, and here I have to have X. If you're doing any machine learning algorithm, so what you will do is all the columns would be X except the last column. The last column will have to be Y, isn't it? That is what you do, because this is dependent value and these are all independent values. So all these independent values would be X and the last column would be Y. I can very well do that. X is equal to all the elements, all the columns except the last column, because -1 is excluded. Remember, we do it in NumPy. This is a function of the NumPy in pandas, that we are taking all the rows, all the columns except the last column, because -1 is excluded. And then we can take Y as only the last column. See, all the rows, only the last column. And then I can perform operations onto it with the help of sklearn. That is what I was trying to tell you, is the train, test and split library which is used. Import train, test and split. You have X and Y values, and then you can apply any algorithm here. I have applied a linear regression model and plot the library. Then I can apply a naive-Bayes algorithm and then plot it. So application of a machine learning algorithm is only a 4-line code. This here it is, just 4-line code. This is the application of the machine learning algorithm, but major time of yours goes in gathering of the data and preparation of the data. That makes the most important part. I'll be sharing these two files with you, mobile_clean.csv. I'll share the data set also. I'll share this code also so that you can try it out once. And I will share this file also in which we started with the Python part. And IILM file also. All these codes I will share it with you so that you can try it out. And if you have any doubts or questions, you can very well ping me at my email ID. Email ID is iitngpcsc@gmail.com. This is my email ID. So if you have any doubts or questions, you can shoot me a mail. If you intend to work on machine learning algorithms, or if you want to have a good research problem that you would like to discuss, I'll be more than happy for it. So if you have any doubts or questions, we can take up.
Yes, ma'am. Any doubts? Any doubts, dear participants?
You can note down the email ID, iitngpcsc@gmail.com.
Ma'am, I would like to know what is the major difference between a NumPy and a Pandas?
Ma'am, Pandas is a different set of library and NumPy is a different library. So NumPy is generally used to do numerical calculations onto your data. But how to get the data? That is what I was mentioning in this Excel sheet. This is your Excel sheet. So I have to have only this part for my analysis. How will I do that? That is done with the help of Pandas. So what I'll do is I'll create a data frame out of this. Data frame means I will form a frame out of this data. So for my analysis, I need only this part. I am considering only this. It's not possible that I go for all the parameters, isn't it?
Yes.
Only some of the parameters are considered at one point of time. So I will consider only these parameters and only these rows for the analysis. This is done with Pandas. Okay, and then application of the algorithm is done with sklearn.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am. Any other doubts? I hope they don't have any doubts. If any, you can. If any doubts, you can write your doubts in the message box, or you can raise your hands and can query yourself. No, ma'am, they are writing it as thank you. It's clear. Need some practice. They need some practice. They need to do some practice. Then only they'll be getting doubts. That's all.
I do agree because it was a very fast session. Since I was given only one session, so I had to cover the entire Python and then come on to NumPy and Pandas. So yes, it was fast, I know. And I know very well that it was quite fast. So what I'll do is I'll share all the code with you. Whatever I have discussed, I'll share the code with NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn, all the three. And I'll share the data set also. I'll share everything with Manjula ma'am or Anuradha ma'am, and they can share it all with the participants. So please don't worry. And I have shared my email ID also. So if you have any doubts in executing any of the commands, let me know. Hi Anuradha ma'am.
Hello ma'am, good afternoon.
Good afternoon
ma'am. It was a great lecture, ma'am, starting from the basics to development and application. It's a great lecture. I don't think it's fast because you have covered all the topics, and some of the topics are in detail covered by the previous sessions. So I don't think it is faster. It was a good lecture indeed.
Thank you so much.
In case of programming things, everyone needs practice at their end. It is obvious, right?
Yes.
In case of maths and programming, they need practice at their end.
Sure.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Then the session was really very educational and very insightful, and you covered all the basics of Python language from the input-output statements to the conditional statements, iterative statements, and all the data structures of Python you covered here, and NumPy concepts, basically you covered that with in depth also, and all these concepts were also implemented using Colab also. So that I think we all really enjoyed this practical session. It was really a wonderful session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much
ma'am.
for the invitation. Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation and calling me. Thank you so
काफी
much.
अच्छे से ऑर्गेनाइज किया आपने अपने कंटेंट को और काफी अच्छे से मेंटेन किया टाइम को. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Anuradha. It's my pleasure. Thank you. पैंडेमिक ने हम लोग को कम से कम ये मौका तो दिया कि लोगों से मिल सके, वरना आपसे मिलना नहीं हो पाता कभी. तो इट्स गुड, कोरोना से कुछ चीजें अच्छी हो रही हैं.
हाँ मैम.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. So, all dear participants, we can have a break, and we'll again connect at 2 p.m. today. So stay tuned and be connected with all of us. So you can have a break for half an hour, for almost 25 minutes.
Thank you all participants for your patience listening, and I hope you